Hello, namaskar and a very good evening to all the viewers watching our live interactive session. This is Simran Singh and you are watching this particular live telecast on eVidya channel number 6 to 12. Besides, we have so many different mediums through which you all can connect with us and you can participate in our live interactive sessions. We also have our YouTube channel, that is NCERT Official. So it's around 4 p.m. on your watch, and regularly from 4 till 5 p.m. we have our very special sessions for all of you. So once again, I would like to take the moment to welcome all our viewers in the 5 days online training on animation as digital resources for teaching and learning. So we all know nowadays teaching is not only confined to the four walls of your classrooms, but it has got ample opportunities and avenues. And with the emergence of technology, our teaching learning patterns have evolved and obviously they have become more interesting and interactive. So when we talk about images being placed in a specific order, or we also call them as animation, it is no longer restricted to just games or entertainment, but it has got a beautiful blend and flavor of education in it. So exploring more on this aspect and studying more on the animation in teaching learning process, that is the policy perspective, concept and scope, we have our first day of online training session. So let me also apprise you that this is the day 1 of our online training sessions running on animation as a digital resource for teaching and learning, and we are going to have these 5 days online training session till 30th of December 2022. So let me also inform you the broader topics or the aspects that we are going to cover in these 5 days. So today it is going to be about the policy perspective, the concept and the scope. Then tomorrow we are going to discuss more on creating stop motion animation. On the day 3rd, it would be about creating comic strip using Pixton. Then the 4th day would be about creating animation using Krita. And the final, or I should say the concluding day of our training session, have got the information about how to create animation using a Vic editor. So all the necessary details regarding these training sessions are also uploaded on our website. So let me quickly take you across our website. So let's have a look at our screens. So all you have to do is type www.ciet.nic.in. So there are various options available for you. So this one is the events. It's right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6th one in the blue border. It says workshop and training. That is the third last option. Just click on it and you will land on this page. All right. So let's try it again. Yes. So there are 3 kinds of activities that are available: the current activity, the completed activity and the upcoming activities. So these are the completed ones that we have already done, and this is the current activity. So here right at the top we have our activity that is from 26th till 30th of December. It's going to be about animation as digital resource for teaching and learning. So you will land on this home page where you will get all the information regarding our training session. As we all know more about animation in the education perspective, even if you are not very tech savvy, you can learn a lot in these 5 days online training sessions. So this is our detailed banner encompassing all the details that we have. Then the objective of the training session is to enhance the understanding of teachers, students, teacher educators and various stakeholders on developing animations, their types, availability of the resources to enrich our classroom experiences. Now the best part of our training sessions is you all can participate in it, whether it's the students, teacher educators, parents, administrators or even general public. So this is the detailed program schedule, the day and the date of the session, then title of the session. Let's take it for today. And then the resource person. I'll be introducing you to today's resource person and the banner along with the video link that will be uploaded shortly. Now how you can participate, we also have our post-session activity as always for all our viewers. So it has got certain steps like registration, watching our live panel discussion, participation. Then there is a post-session activity that would be quiz. So I'll be explaining it at length towards the later segment of this particular session, but as of now, let's begin our online training on animation and teaching learning process, the policy perspective, concept and scope. And providing us more guidance and insights into today's conversation, we also have with us our guest in the studio. So allow me to introduce you with our today's guest. He is Dr. Rizaul Karim sir. Namaskar sir, good evening.
Thank you Simran.
We welcome you in this conversation. Sir is assistant professor at CIET and CRT. So in this live interactive session, if you have any queries, any feedback, so you would like to ask us anything in this live session, then here is our contact number. It is flashing on your screens. It's 8800440559, and a specific mail ID for these training sessions is training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. So let's quickly begin our session. We still have around 45 minutes in the conversation, so do mention your comments, your queries in the comment section, and we'll try to answer your queries towards the later segment of this particular session. So sir, in the first place, I'll request you to apprise our viewers what are we going to discuss today.
Sure, thank you, and welcome viewers once again. So as Simran has already mentioned, so today we are going to discuss about use of animation in education, and we are going to look at the policy perspective, concept of animation, its scope, right. So to start with, if you look at the policy perspective regarding animation, so the new education policy which we call as National Education Policy 2020, so it rightly acknowledges that teaching learning process should be as interactive as possible, right. We should shift away altogether from rote learning or to conceptual learning, understanding of concepts in an interesting and integrated way. So now if you reflect on this statement that learning should be interactive, understanding of concepts should be more and more detailed, hands-on. So in that, the traditional way of text and image limiting itself only to the textbook, the boundary of textbook won't help much, right, because in a physical printed book there is not much scope besides putting text, tables, of course, data, figures, and then putting some images, right. So but the digital medium of today provides us lots of opportunity, so we can come up with different kinds of interactive activities through which conceptual understanding can be better. Some examples can be video, of course, animations, simulations, AR, VR activities, and many others, right. So in these, among these, animation is one of the very important way of giving life to a still images, if you ask me in one statement. So the still images are there, series of images are there, so you add some motion, some movement in it, give it some life and make it more interactive, more interesting for the end user. That's the crux of the animation, right. So rightly the policy acknowledges that more and more interactive content should be there, and animation is the kind of resource which is relatively easy to create and has more effectiveness, more availability, more applicability in various concepts in the context of education, right. So let me walk you through a quick presentation on the concept of animation, what are the types and all this, right. So I am going to share my screen with you all, and so if you see so in this quick presentation we are going to cover these broad aspects, right. What is the concept of animation, what is an animation, what are the broad different major types of animation that we are going to discuss, what is the context of or how we can bring in and integrate animation in teaching learning process, that is education, and then of course we will conclude our discussion here. So if you see in one statement, animation is imagination, because animation is also one of the very creative activity, and as we know any such creative activity requires our imagination, power of our imagination, its application, right. So the more we can imagine, more creatively we can create more effective, more interesting, more beautiful animation, right. So as I said already, teaching methods today are no longer limited to classroom activities and no longer confined to the books, right. So it has scope much beyond, because today's learners have access to digital medium, they have connectivity to internet, so they have the chance to browse the digital world as well, and they can traverse beyond the classroom, beyond the textbook. So that's where they have got the scope to interact and access and consume so many other type of resources as well, right. So use of innovative teaching learning methods to focus on the holistic development of learners is the need of the hour, and as with new educational trends, the use of animation in education is becoming more popular. So as I said, more and more since the medium is there, digital medium provides us an opportunity to deliver more and more variety of content. So, that is where animation comes to life. So, there is an opportunity that we can cater to the students to their needs of understanding the concepts wherever relevant with animation, somewhere with video, somewhere with AR VR content, somewhere with simulation, somewhere with text, somewhere with images as well, right. So, now what is an animation? Okay. So, if you ask me, animation is a technique in which, as I already said, static images or stationary objects that cannot move on its own can be shown as moving, or they are reacting, or they are speaking. That means you can bring together a series of images, you can connect them, you can show a moving effect, create a moving effect in them, you can add a voiceover, so that you get a more immersive interactive feeling, right. Or you can create an animation which reacts, like you can put it in a loop and then there is a reaction, right, continuity is there. So, you can see on my screen there is an example of this ball bouncing, right. So, on the right of the screen, on the bigger screen box is what we see as an effect of this animation, right, the outcome of the animated view. But how it was created, for this on the left side you can see in smaller boxes, six different boxes, sir. That means these are 6 different images or graphics created, you can say, of red balls of different shapes or from different heights from the ground. So, now imagine yourself, if you put them, play them together at a faster rate. So, that is what the impact or effect you get to see on the right side of the screen. So, that is how you get to see an animated effect or an animation, right. So, this is another way of another examples probably. So, you can see the bird flying, but at different positions of its wing and its stretch and movement. So, it is a process by which the pictures are arranged in a specific sequence, because in animation, to get the actual output, the sequence of your positioning of your image is really important, because end of the day when you play these images at a faster rate, the end effect or the end visualization impact should be that it is as if moving together, it is as if not static or stationary, right. So, it creates an illusion or an impact of motion of the object. So, that is where you need to decide how or at what sequence you are going to put the images, right. More frames you use, more number of images you use in an animation, so probably you are going to get more better images, right. So, what all animation includes? Animation includes cartoons, okay. Animation can be in the form of graphics, animation can be in the form of moving pictures, animation can be in the form of GIFs, okay. So, if you see, animation is everywhere around us. If you look at the gaming industry, your games, so whatever games we play, not only today's 3D games, or the decades old games, whatever games we had in those days, TV games or basic mobile phone games, snake games, whatever you call it in earlier days mobile phones, or in our desktop computers, whatever basic games we used to play, or be it today's games with visual effects, all those have got an application of animation in a large scale, right. So, gaming is in one area where animation is used in a bigger way. Of course, today's gaming use a much higher version of animation because of availability of various softwares, 3D softwares, VFX softwares. So, today's game designers, gaming or companies developing games use very high quality, high end animations. So, that gives a more real life effect, more interesting and more interactive effects on games, right. And then of course, entertainment industry is one. We will discuss on how entertainment industry uses VFX effects. That is how we get to see on television, on cinemas. So, stunts being performed by the heroes or the characters, right, various characters, fighting scenes or various other scenes, jaw dropping scenes, that looks like wow, stunning how they have done it, but those are largely created, most of the cases those are created using various one or the other form of animation. So, entertainment is another industry where animation finds a tremendous application. And then of course, our whatever advertisements we consume, be it on television screen, be it on internet, advertisement industry again uses animation in a big way, right. And then of course the very purpose of today here is to discuss about animation and its relation in education. So yes, education is also getting to see application of animation there. I mean, just go to any search engine and search about animation, right? Or go to any YouTube or any other video platforms and search about any topic and search about animation about the topic. You will get to see lots of animated contents on those topics related to education, which lets us understand the concept in a much clearer way. Okay. Then scientific visualizations, like various complex scientific phenomena, mechanisms, properties that are otherwise very difficult to explain or visualize can be visualized or are visualized using one or the other form of animations. Yes. And then simulations. So simulation, when you say simulation, is again even more higher level of interactivity. So in simulation what happens is that again at the core is there are animations that takes into effect. But in an animation, if you see, animation is, as I said, is a loop created using some images. So the animation will move or behave the way it has been recorded and it has been created. So whatever, however, how much ever time you play the animation, it will act accordingly only. But in a simulation, you bring in animation, you bring in many other aspects also. The end result is that you get to interact much more, in the sense if you click on certain things, certain decision happens. Okay. So that is how a simulation is much more different from animation. Okay. So in many such games wherein video games particularly, wherein you put a headset or you sit on a steering and then you play different video games, therein whichever way you move your handset, that way the game interacts. Whichever button you click, the game reacts differently, the game interacts differently, right? So that is an application of simulation, that is not only confined to animation only, because in a game, in a simulation wherein lots of simulations are there, so therein the real world is simulated in a gamified way. Okay. And of course simulation has got application in education domain as well. So just to differentiate so that the conceptual clarity is better for the viewers, three concepts I have bring in so far. One is of course animation, one is video, and one is simulation. You might get confused or you may ask yourself that what is the difference. Okay. So to understand it is very easily, animation is static images, playing them in a loop, putting them first static images, then put them in a certain sequence, then using some software you play them together at a certain speed, and that is how you get an effect of a video like or movement like motion like thing. The outcome is called animation, right? On the other hand, a video is mostly recorded. Of course video can be edited to some extent, some effect can be created or put on a video also, that is why we use the term video editing. But in its raw form, a video is nothing but when you open your camera and you start recording a video, right, of a real thing, of a real scenario. That is when you record it in its raw form is the video. But then as I said, you can do lots of editing to add lot more effects in video also. On top of the raw video, you can do editing and you can put certain animation effects as well and many other things, right. Now the third term that I said was simulation. It is neither video nor animation. Simulation has many animation in its core, but again using some coding, some programming, the environment is created such that there is a scenario wherein you click on certain thing happens. For example, simulation, an example of simulation, for example, creation a virtual lab created using a simulation. So wherein you click on your computer lab, a computer screen, and you click on that lab, virtual lab. When you go there, you find a beaker, some acids. So now you click on beaker, and then you click on the acid bottle, and then you click on the button pour. That means you get the effect that some acid is getting poured on the beaker. Okay, so that's the effect of a simulation, not animation. Those things you can do in simulation, because in simulation you have got the option to do certain things. So the software or the activity simulation will behave the way you click or the way you function. Okay, that won't happen in an animation. All right. Now going ahead, if we try to understand the different types of animations, okay, So to start with, of course, there is the plain simple animation that we call as 2D animation or the traditional animation. I mean, those are available since decades with us. So 2D animation is created using two-dimensional effect. I mean, images of an object, one or multiple objects. Okay. So in 2D animation, two dimensions of any objects are visible, in which you can only estimate the length and width of the image, of course, because it is not 3D, so you can't sense the depth as well. So these types of animations were earlier used in creating cartoons for kids or various other entertainment industry. Those were largely used. If you look back, those of who might have seen cartoons in earlier decades, they might have seen these 2D based cartoons, right? Lots of cartoons. For example, here I would like to show you a quick example through a YouTube video, like how 2D animations were used to be created earlier.
अनेक क्या है दीदी? अनेक यानी बहुत सारे। बहुत सारे? क्या बहुत सारे? अच्छा, बताती हूँ। सूरज एक, चंदा एक, तारे अनेक। तारों को अनेक भी कहते हैं? नहीं नहीं, देखो फिर से। सूरज एक, चंदा एक, एक 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 करके तारे भये अनेक। ठीक से समझाओ ना दीदी। देखो देखो एक गिलहरी, पीछे पीछे अनेक गिलहरियाँ, हो गई अब अनेक तितलियाँ। दीदी दीदी, वो देखो अनेक चिड़िया। एक चिड़िया। दीदी, हमें भी सुनाओ ना। तो सुनो फिर से। कर लिया, मार डाला। हिम्मत से कर जुटे रहे तो।
So this was an example of a 2D animation. Of course, there are various such 2D animations that one can see, right? Now moving ahead, of course, we would like to understand 3D animations, right? What is a 3-dimension animation? So as the term itself says, 3D or computer animation, more commonly known as, is creating a 3-dimensional moving image in a digital environment. Okay, animated objects which are 3D animated objects can be rotated and moved in the same way as the real object, creating a lifelike effect, because in 3D you are able to store or create the width, height and the depth also of the image, right. So once the moment you have a 3D thing or form of a image, so of course then you can rotate in every way, right. So that's how we are able to create a lifelike impact, which is otherwise not possible in or used not to be possible in a 2D animation. So that's why 3D animations are mostly 3D, because you can't create or draw it, right. So that's where the 3D images are created using computer graphics environment. So that's why they are more popularly known as computer animation. Okay, and 3D animation, as I said, there the object can be rotated almost 360 degree, and we can see both the three dimensions, length, width and thickness or depth, whatever you call it, right. So, on my screen as you can see, there is an example of this 3D, and this is a very old video of I mean earlier days, how when people started conceptualizing 3D animation, how these were created. So, I'd like to show you here a quick video 3D animation by NCRT, where, I mean how, just to explain the concept of खेती की शुरुआत. Okay, I hope it is visual.
अन्न इकट्ठा करके एक दिन रही थी वो सब उसको बीन,
रही थी वो सब उसको बीन, कुछ दाने रह गए जमीन पर, बारिश ने आ उनको सींचा,
बारिश ने आ उनको सींचा। पहले अन्न से अंकुर फूटे, पहले अन्न से अंकुर फूटे,
फिर बन गए वो पौधे,
हाँ फिर बन गए वो पौधे। बच्चों ने तब उनको देखा
और फिर माँ को भी दिखलाया,
माँ की कुछ कुछ समझ में आया,
माँ की कुछ कुछ समझ में आया, गिलहरी और चिड़ियों से उसने पहरा देकर उन्हें बचाया,
पहरा देकर उन्हें बचाया। एक दिन सब रह गए चकित, जब देखी लहराती खेती।
अन्न गिरा था जो जमीन पर,
भरी बालियां थी उससे ही,
देख फसल तब उन्होंने सोचा,
खेती की शुरुआत।
So this was an example of showing how, I mean, a pretty basic way of creating probably a 3D animation, right? But using more today's 3D animation softwares, we can of course create much more interactive, much more interesting and much more colorful, of course, 3D animation as well. Then another next kind of animation, of course, is that we would like to discuss here is called VFX animation or visual effects. Okay. So VFX in short are called visual effects, are a way of mixing real film shooting or real video, real shooting, real produced captured video with false or animated images. So this where in VFX what you do, you make a shooting, you record the real scene, and then on top of it or on the background of it or in surrounding of it, you put an animated effect, okay, which otherwise would have been very difficult or impossible or very risky to do it actually really. Okay. For instance, a movie that shows the hero jumping off the ground and flying into the air is created mostly using virtual effects, because imagine otherwise to show actually make someone jump from the hilltop some 80 feet down or 100 feet that we see in most of the movies and cinemas and many other things, that would have been very risky and expensive job, right? But thanks to virtual effects or visual effects, VFX effects, we are able to create and many others such in today's movies. Not only today's, I mean since decades visual effects are there, but recent years they are getting more and more applications in various entertainment industry, particularly in movie and filmmaking, wherein we see lots of visual effects are added to the movie or film, and to make it much more interesting, much more visually appealing, right? So just to give make a quick sense of how it is being created. So in this type of animation, as you can see on the screen here, a picture and a scene is shot in blue and green background usually, that we call as chroma, so that if you choose that color, it is easy to remove that background and then bring in your own background of anything that you desire, right? So here, as you can see, the scene was probably recorded in a blue background. The lady here working with a stick in her hand, and then the image that was brought embedded in the background of her, giving you the image as if she is in that environment and she is working in that, right, as a background. And then some special effects are used in its background, and later the scene is seen as something else than what it was actually, right. So visual effects are animations are created to make, again, a movie, a film, a recorded shooted scene much more appealing, much more interesting. Okay, here is another quick example of how VFX is added. Another, just a reference. So as you can see here, how the characters are edited, I mean, in a very pretty quick way it is being shown, like how something is recorded in its natural form, and then various effects are created, right, by changing the surroundings using visual effects. So these were just some glimpses of showing you how visual effects can make otherwise a simple scene much more appealing, much more interesting, and make it much more effective, right. So the next category of animation here is stop motion animation, that we call it. So it is a technique that is achieved by capturing one frame at a time. And how it is done? The frame actually are of physical objects or properties that are moved between frames. Okay. So these are different frames, one frame at a time of the physical object that we record, capture, and then when the sequence of images we have, now we play back at a rapid speed, an illusion of movement is produced. Right? Clay figures or puppets with movable joints are often used in stop motion animation. Okay. So as you can see on the screen, the example of a stop motion animation created. In this, some pictures are drawn, their different photos are clicked in different positions, and then when these images are played in a sequence, a movement appears in it which is called stop motion animation. Okay. So just another quick example of showing you how stop motion animation works. Sorry, I need to play it again. right. So if you see in more detail the different types of stop motion animation here, because stop motion animation we are focusing in more details here, is the purpose is because stop motion animation is something which can be created relatively easily compared to other form of animation, and we can easily, as you can see in the previous example, using papers, crafts and other things, you can create different objects, and then you can click different photos of them at different positions, and then you can play them together, bundle them together, and then you can create wonderful in animated effects, right. So if you see at more detail the different type of stop motion animation, there can be object motion, I mean moving or animating objects, okay. Then there can be clay motion that we call as like moving clay, then cutout motion, moving paper or 2D material, okay. Then puppet animation, moving puppets also. These are the some of the broad categories of creating stop motion animations. Okay. Now in
So I would also like to inform my viewers that we still have around 10 to 12 minutes left in this conversation. If you have any queries, please drop down to us in the comment section of NCRT official, and I am very happy to watch that in the comment section we have over 3000 viewers who have commented. So do mention your queries, your feedback as well. Yes sir.
Thank you, thank you. Sorry, my screen was not in full screen. So here I have brought into your focus, if you can see on my screen, I have listed some of the tools that are useful, or open source tools that are used for animations. Okay, some of these tools are Blender. Most commonly used tool is Blender, then Synfig Studio, Pencil 2D, OpenToons, Mayflorista, TupiTube, GIMP is of course one, Krita, and then Stop Motion Studio. So there are many, but here we have listed some of the open source tools that are easily available and that one can use to create, I mean easily without knowing much of technicality, the stop motion animations or different kind of animations can be created. And as Simran has said in the beginning, the very purpose of this 5-day program is to make you or learn or orient you about some of the tools. So in next sessions or in the other 4 days, experts will take us into more details about one or the other form of tools and let us know and demonstrate how we can use those tools to create different forms of animations, right. Now if we talk to come to the aspect of integrating different form of animation in education, right. So as I said in the beginning, the quality of education can be enhanced with the inclusion of animation in classroom teaching learning or any other teaching learning, because animation helps us to elevate the level of interactivity in your classroom transaction or in any form of learning material, because the moment there is motion, moment there is interactivity, you can bring in lot of interest in the learner, and you can help them understand the concept in much more easier way, which is otherwise difficult. Okay, students learn better with visuals and graphics than with traditional teaching methods, of course, and animation can be used for creating engaging visual impact, and of course use of animation in education makes the education fun, joyful and more engaging, that we all know, right. So what are the different ways, easier ways to incorporate animation in education? Like animation of subject specific topics, like animation is one way of one kind of e-content which can be created for be it humanity, be it science, be it mathematics, be it language, to teach all kind of subjects. There are immense examples of animations available on the internet, and we also as educators, teachers, students can create such animations which are really impactful and engaging, right. And enhancing the quality of class presentation using animation we can do, making visualization more interesting and easier, right. So now what are the advantages of animation? If we list it in a nutshell, animation makes learning faster because the conceptual clarity is much higher than traditional way, and it of course when there is more interaction, that means the resultant is more improvement in engagement of learners, right. Visualize subjects for better understanding, because the more clarity in terms of visualization, the more conceptual understanding will be there. Motivates or leads to curiosity among children, and then attempt risk-free experiment in a safe environment. Okay, a different method of teaching to the traditional classroom lecture. So these are some of the otherwise n number of possible advantages that animation brings in. Okay, some of the, I won't call it disadvantage, but limitations or challenges with animation is that creation of certain levels of animations like 3D animations or VFX kind of animations requires some effort, some technical expertise, but otherwise stop motion animation or 2D animation are relatively easy to create. One can easily create without knowing much of technicalities also, right. But those kind of animation creation requires some technical know-how also, then there is a cost involved also, right, and then that requires bandwidth in terms of your availability of high-end computing device to render those animations and your technical know-how with to use those software applications to create those animations as well, right. So, my concluding remarks will be that use of animation leads to versatility. It is resultant is in edutainment, education with infotainment, which is much more engaging, fun. It results to accessibility, usability and inclusivity for all, right. So, Simran, are there some questions that we can take?
Yeah, sir, there are a lot of questions. So, if you allow me, could we proceed with the questions?
Yes, yes, I'll be happy.
Okay, so one of the viewers have asked us, with the help of animation, can we simplify or break down complex concepts of education or different subjects into simpler ones?
Right, right, very much, very much. I'll give a quick example of, supposing you want to teach your, explain your kids how our heart pumps blood, okay. Now imagine how you can do it. You can of course create a diagram of your heart, of our heart, human heart, and you can then draw arrow lines and show that this is how blood flows to the heart, and this is how the different arteries through which it goes, and this is how pumping happens. But instead of that, now if we can have an animation there of quick 5-7 segments, right. So that makes the understanding of the concept much more easier. Similarly, digestion of food, or how food goes through our digestive pipes and into our stomach and all these things, the whole story can be explained in much more effective way. Or take another example of mathematics, right. So GeoGebra applets are nothing but animations. The end result that we see using GeoGebra applet is again an animation, right. So yes, for any topic, be it complex, be it simple, we can break down conceptually, and then we can focus on creating or leveraging already available animations for different subjects. Thank you. Yeah.
And so we have another question in the comment section from Bimal Behraji, and he says that his subject is mathematics. As you have already mentioned,
right,
that when we are dealing with the complex subjects like mathematics and the topics related to geometric expressions or algebra, how can we represent it with the help of animations? And at the same time, he has asked us, does animatory content attract more students to the classrooms?
Okay. So, I will answer the second part first. Yes, of course, there is no doubt that animation attracts more students in the classroom, because animation leads to more interactivity, more fun, easy understanding of the concepts. Now, coming back to the example of mathematics, in mathematics the areas where visualization is there, be it geometry and other such areas, then there is of course application of animation is there in a very good way. Okay.
And then there's more to it. One of our viewers have asked us, is animation age specific, like is it restricted to only primary ones or the ones studying in secondary classes?
No. Animation has got application even in medical colleges. Okay, animation has got application in primary classes. Animation gets an application in gaming industry. So, be it primary education, be it higher education, be it industry, be it design, be it marketing, your advertisement, everywhere you get an application of animation. So, animation is everywhere. Yes.
So, of course, and in the upcoming days, I am pretty sure that all our viewers will be able to make some animatory content on their own.
Sure.
So, thank you so much, sir, for being with us in this conversation. We are left by the last 5 minutes. So, a lot of viewers are asking us in the comment section about the post-session activity, then the difference between stop motion animation, 2D animation. All the answers lies in our upcoming sessions. So, you have to watch our sessions very carefully. And also, very quickly, let me apprise you about the basic details of the sessions that we are going to conduct for another 4 days, as well about our website that you have been asking in the comment section. So, again, let's have a look at our screens. So I've already opened this web page for you. All you have to do is, yes, just visit our website, that is www.ciet.nic.in. Then if I go back and yes, let's try this out. So you can see that there are a number of options available over here. Then the workshop and training, that is our go-to place, and you'll find these three kinds of activities over there: the current activity, the upcoming ones, and the completed ones. So the completed ones contains details of the ones that we have already done. Then under current activity for this particular training session, here the blue one is highlighted as animation as digital resource for teaching and learning. So the broader aspects associated to animation, the different topics that we are going to cover and its relevance in the current context, every detail, every minute yet necessary detail has been uploaded on our website. We know that teaching methods are no longer limited to just classroom activities. So it also incorporates more technology than ever before. It benefits both the educators and the students in numerous ways. Then when we draw different images and pictures, of course it attracts audience and our viewers and your students as well. Then the objective and who all can participate and the broader program schedule of our sessions, about the 5 days training sessions that we are going to have at this particular time, that is from 4 to 5 p.m. So tomorrow also tune in with us on eVidya channel number 6 to 12 to know more about how to create stop motion animation. That a lot of you have been asking in the comment section about it. So you can watch our tomorrow's session as well. Today was a session to lay a broader foundation of what animation is all about, how it can be beneficial in the teaching learning processes, the policy perspective, the scope and the concept associated with it. So tomorrow it's going to be about the stop motion animation. Then following days we are going to learn more about creating comic strip using Pixton, using Krita and a Vic editor. Then how you can participate in our live sessions. Here are the 4 broader steps mentioned for you. So let me quickly read through them. The step 1 is registration. You can register yourself by clicking on the link, or here is a QR code. So you can scan this code. Then you can watch our live panel discussion either on our YouTube channel, that is NCRT official, then eVidya channel number 6 to 12. Apart from that, other mediums are also highlighted for you. Then the participation in the post session activity. So we also have our quiz, and we will be releasing the quiz on 30th of December around 6 p.m. So if you score over 70%, then you can also receive a certificate from CIET NCRT. The opening date would be 30th December 2022, and the closing date, the tentative closing date is 20th of January till 6 p.m. Then you all know that your feedback matters a lot. So specifically, we have curated a Google form for you. You can click on this form, you can submit your feedback with us, and for any queries, any questions associated with the subject, the topic that we are discussing, here is our mail ID, training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. Besides, we also have our toll-free number. We can also flash it on our screens. It is 8800-440-559. So it is an end to the first day of our online training, where we discussed on the policy perspectives, the concept and the scope of animation in teaching learning process. And in the conversation we had with us, Dr. Rizal Karim sir. Thank you so much for guiding us.
Thank you,
and
viewers.
for all the detailed information.
Thank you.
So all the viewers watching this session, you don't have to go anywhere, because upcoming we have our session of Sahyog, guidance for mental well-being and psychosocial support for all the students and viewers watching our session. So stay connected with eVidya channels, and tomorrow at the same time tune in with our channels to watch our upcoming training session. Stay connected and keep watching eVidya channels. Namaskar.